The following is an original audio series from Sierra International Machinery, Pile of Scrap, with your host, John Sacco.
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Pile of Scrap. This is the most unique one yet. I keep saying that. I'm here with my brother, my partner, my friend. Shit. Here I am all emotional. I just get started. My brother, Philip, welcome.
Well, I'm very pleased to be here with my blessed brother, partner, and my wonderful son. Third generation. Proud of you, brother.
And my nephew, little Phil. You're going to be little Phil all day.
All day, every day since I was born.
So, I've interviewed a lot of people. Pile of Scrap is taken on. We have a lot of viewers who aren't even in the recycling industry now that we're finding out. And I think what happens is we are touching people and educating people about what it is we do. But this is going to be kind of about the history of who we are and where we kind of came from and a lot of things. So I want to start this off. Every time I talk to somebody, how's your brother Phil? How's he doing up in Wyoming? I go, well, he's the smartest one of the bunch. And they all laugh. They all go, yeah, he is. I'm stuck in Bakersfield. Not stuck, but I'm in Bakersfield. I choose to be. And you're up here, Phil.
Living the dream. Living the dream. Man. Living the dream. It's one big playground. A lot of work, though. Peace of mind. Get to smile on my face. Get to do what I've dreamed of doing since I've been a little boy. But only through this wonderful family business. And the two gentlemen and the other team that's not here, I was able to achieve that goal. And that's one heck of a team that Sierra has, and a family Sacco.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, look, Phil, I talked to a lot.
Dad laid the groundwork.
Well, sure.
No, Dad laid the groundwork. We're a people family. We're a people company. Without people skills, you will never get across what we need to build together in our partnerships.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right, because even though you and I, look, as a kid, you were always the closest one, and there were five of us, you were always the closest one to me, but somewhere along the line, you wanted to be a guide, right? Because you were always in the back country, but Dad would have nothing to do with that, because, here's this immigrant, this powerful man. What was that?
1979. 1979, 78, I was at the University of Colorado, and I was met a gentleman that who's still a dear friend of mine today that wanted me to be a guide on a rafting, because I was an accomplished rafter. And he knew I was a good fisherman, so he hired me to start working June 1 as a raft guide, fishing guide, and my poor performance in college ended me up on the unemployment line. And so my father stepped in and said, son, we have an opportunity for you. Come back to Bakersfield, but you first got to cut your hair, and you're going to not do the things you're going to do in Colorado. You're going to come back and give us 100% commitment. And then I said, yes.
So you moved here in 2018 or 17, full-time?
Here full-time, it would be 2018 full-time.
Okay, so almost, how many years is that? 79, so that's 40 years, almost 40 years. So now you are kind of doing that. All these years later, you finally get to do truly what you wanted?
Yeah.
What's your favorite? Hunting, fishing, guiding? What's your favorite thing?
Seeing other people enjoy harvesting the fruit here. Like you, coming here to see you smile. I stood up on my horse to see you with a smile on your face, with peace, making the cast, watching that rod go like this, watching the excitement of everybody. To me, unlike our late father, he enjoyed seeing people having a great time.
That was like me yesterday, man, to see Uncle John up here fly fishing, catching his first trout on a fly rod yesterday.
Jackie was actually in tears with me.
It's amazing to watch you do it, man.
It's the first time I ever fly fished. We did in Alaska, but that was that one time, but on a river. And I was successful yesterday, surprisingly. I didn't think I was. It was really cool yesterday. What a great experience. First time I ever fly fished.
On a private river.
Yeah, on your river, your private river.
Can you say how many rivers are owned 2.5 miles both sides in North America, let alone?
Yeah, look.
blessed.
You're up here. You're smart. You're doing. You're living what you want to do, and I think that's fantastic. So let's go to business for a second, because there's one thing that I know, and I tell people all the time. I think you're one of the finest, if not the best, metal trader that I have ever seen. I mean, you know how to sell iron, and you know how to sell your non-ferrous. Okay. I'm the salespeople at Sierra know, don't bring Uncle John in here, or don't bring John in here, because he'll sell it for less and their commissions are less. Where did you get that? Where was it that your ability to trade?
The first that comes to my senses is when my second father, Morris G. Rosenberg, my late father's business partner, took me under his wing and dispatched me to the rag market in Los Angeles, which was predominantly an old Orthodox Jewish community. Shrewd business people, honest people. There were some that weren't so honest, and you had to learn. The trading skills of that generation from the turn of the century, pre-Depression, the Great War, World War II, and Korean War, these people were self-made people. They demanded the best of people who did business with them. That was the art of trading that I learned. And you learned that when you're selling an item for 1.50 to 2 cents a pound, how are you going to make money on that? So the trading skill, the trust that was built during the old school Jewish community, business community in Los Angeles taught me my business skill. Not Sierra initially, but the Jewish community in LA taught me how to trade with people.
So, your history at Sierra. Let's go back to as a kid. Now, as a kid, being the baby of 5, I remember on Saturday mornings, you and Anthony would get to go to Sierra, but I was too young. And I would cry when they would leave the door. I remember it, 1800 Country Club Drive. I'll never forget that Saturday in my life. What was your favorite job as a kid? I mean, when you got down to Sierra, what was it that you couldn't wait to do?
Go to the printing room and watch bags come off the printing press.
See, I was never in that
To me, that
department.
was fascinating because the material came from India and Bangladesh, which was East Pakistan then. We bought the stuff from halfway across the world to bring it here to put in, to use in American agriculture. It was really a neat experience. So as a little kid, the printing room with Angelo Pinelli was truly the joy on Saturday mornings until the scrap business started going, and then we wanted to go down and watch the car crusher. We wanted to see those cars go boom flat. And we don't care if flying glass came around, and in today's world, that'd be the most dangerous thing we could do in our workplace.
I remember that old car flatter.
Yes, we
did.
did.
It was a crazy machine.
Yeah.
What about you? You as a kid, your dad brought you down. What was your favorite job when you came down to Sierra on a Saturday?
Gosh.
Get in the excavator.
Yeah, the excavator. But like both of you guys, Nano had me starting. I remember he'd give me $10 a warehouse to sweep. And, at 6, 7 years old, I was a rich kid getting 10. It'd take me until lunchtime. Then he'd normally pick me up and we'd go to Luigi's for lunch. Imagine that.
Yeah.
But sweeping those warehouses, I just kind of remember that was my first learning what work actually was. Started out fun, started for money, and then I just remember after doing a couple, it was like, oh, this is actually going to take me some. I just kind of vividly remember that, thinking back, like, oh, this is what they talk about when
literally from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, the first piece of equipment I ever operated was a broom.
Yep.
That was it.
Mine too.
But you got over to the new bag side because Sierra. There was Sierra Bag Company before there was ever Sierra International Machinery, and there was Sierra Iron and Metal. But we were always on the bag side growing up. Anthony kind of worked over in the metal side,
right?
Our oldest brother. But my favorite job was always operating the upstroke baler in the bag plant, in the used bag plant. You were over in the new bag plant. I was in the used bag plant. So that was always my favorite. And to think all these years later, I'm selling balers. And that if you think about it, it's just crazy.
We've been taking other people's discarding items, taking those items and making money on it.
Repurposing
All our
it.
life, yes. Our whole career as workers, business people, have been converting in people's discarding items. So we've found the value of that.
I often sometimes think about too, growing up in the family business and just growing up in the scrapyard. You look at it. I mean, obviously the point of business is to make money, but we talk about, hey, we are a major part of the recycling industry. Sometimes when you step back and you look at it, you go, oh wow, there's an old bike, or there's an old bed frame, or there's an old steel I-beam. Sometimes I'll think, how many times has that actually been reused? And they've all been reused multiple times. I mean, it's a raw material. These items are being melted and reformed and reused time and time again. And sometimes being in the business, you kind of forget that, even though we know that's the end goal and that's what we do. But when you kind of step back and you look at it, sometimes it fascinates me to go, oh, wow, we aside from the business side of it, we're actually recycling and keeping this planet clean and doing our part.
You said a great thing. In World War II, Korean War, the scrap business was to help the war effort. Today, it's to help the world environmental effort. So we've seen transition in our industry as a tactical industrial strength here in America that produced what Japan needed and started a world war, because they needed our scrap to build their navy and their war machine. It's amazing. So when you look at history, the scrap business has a foundation that has deep historical roots in many events in this world.
So as kids growing up, Dad would bring in people from all over the world to our house. Mm-hmm. We had parties at the house for
ambassador from Pakistan,
and Monsignor Carol Abbey, and then we always had the contingency from India and Bangladesh that would come
trade
in.
Commissions,
and so as a kid growing up, we always had people from around the world. Father Henry, he was a missionary from he'd go all over the world. What of all the people that came through, who's the one you remember the most and why?
That's a great question, and it made me really pause and think here. But the first person I have to come to think is Mr. Agarwal of Calcutta, because Mr. Agarwal was someone who I personally had to engage with as a young person in learning how to trade, to buy the materials that we needed. Mr. Agarwal was the first exposure to Indian culture, another culture that I got personal with. And then my travels to India, seeing where he lived, doing the business, going through the cultural transition from being an American teenager to go to a third world country of India where food crops weren't grown yet.
How many times have you been to India?
4 times.
4 times. I've only been there once. I was there when I graduated high school. Grandfather took me around the world, and we went to New York, and then we were in Rome, and then I remember catching the 1:30 flight from Rome to New Delhi, then New Delhi to Bombay. We spent the night in Bombay at the Duncan House, because they were the big traders.
Right across from Mother Teresa's convent.
And you met Mother Teresa.
Yes, I did.
Tell us that story. Why? We're so off track now. This is an amazing story.
March 6th of 1979, my brother Anthony and I were dispatched from Rome, Italy, where we were living at the time, to go meet Sierra's contacts, our father's friends in India and Bangladesh. On our arrival to Calcutta, which is now pronounced Kolkata, we were dispatched to the Duncan House, which was right across the street from the Mother Teresa's convent. And during those times in India, when you'd wake up in the morning, there would be dead bodies. on the street, and you would see the people being picked up in stretchers, covered. They would go to the convent and get a blessing from Mother Teresa or one of the nuns. And because of the tradition at the Duncan House, the guests at the Duncan House were the guests of the convent. That afternoon, we were introduced to the convent by the nuns who greeted us. We were brought into the room where they gave us, what they did there in the caring. And then Mother Teresa came out, and she looked at me, and she put her hands, and I put my hands, and she took her hands on top of mine, and I could feel the wrinkles of her hands on my hands to this day. Wow. She looked in her eyes, and I saw pure holiness. And as she looked into my eyes, she looked away from my eyes, and then this most horrible odor came upon us. And then I looked over my shoulder. There was an Indian woman dressed in her Hindu dress, and she had a dead child. But I noticed one thing about the mother and the other lady assisting her on her dead child were lepers. I was in the presence of a leper. And Mother Teresa said to me, and Anthony, "It's okay, son." And I felt a calm. And this woman presented her child to Mother Teresa, where they gave her the blessing, they cleaned her. It was a girl, and they dressed her for the ceremonial funeral. And that touched me to this day. And she would not accept money for charity. She just wanted our souls.
That's a pretty heavy story. I don't care who you are. You listen to that. I mean, how many people...
Sitting here getting goosebumps. Man.
Yeah, I think my favorite person, Dad, we had a lot of people. I think it was Ernest Borgnine, because he was an actor, and, McKell's Navy. I remember as a kid, I loved McKell's Navy.
You remember Wide World of Sports when he caught the sailfish?
Yes, and so Ernest
That's
Borgnine
mounted in his home,
and this was part of the fundraiser things that we had. We had a lot of people. I think that's part of our upbringing. Why, it's been so easy to do business all over the world, because our father, your grandfather, introduced us to people from all over the world, and it was a natural. It wasn't odd to us.
No,
it was just a natural
cultural differences were embraced by us. We embraced, wow, this is a person from Pakistan. Wow, this person is from South Africa.
Yeah, we lived, so Phil, we lived in Rome in 1976, 77. Mm-hmm. Then we lived that one summer in Fragena. Outside of Rome.
Summer 68.
Ringo Starr's wife was Barbara
Bach.
Well, Barbara Gregorini at the time. Yeah. She married Augusto Gregorini. That's a great story.
Remember Joe Walsh's wife, Margie?
Yeah, well, so that's a crazy thing. And then we spent another summer touring all of Italy. What is your favorite family travel story? Let's have a little fun with what is your favorite...
Well, we were outside, it just comes right to, we were outside of Bari in the bus. I called it what was it? The Fiat bus. And Anthony was up to his antics, being Anthony. And all of a sudden, there was a chipped tooth in the family.
Oh, yeah.
Whose chipped tooth was that?
That was mine.
And I'll never forget, Anthony thought that was just cool. Well, when my father turned around and got the situation in how he deciphered it, I never seen my brother Anthony have fear of what he did, but at the same time, he was laughing at the top of his lungs. Thought it was the coolest doggone thing until he got his first swat on the butt. My brother Anthony quieted up, shut up, sat down. Then I started laughing.
I wanted more punishment. He didn't get it. I wanted more.
Well, what did he do? How did he chip your tooth?
So he.
But I started laughing. Then I got it.
Anthony would squeeze your right here on your thigh, and that was very ticklish. And he squeezed me, and I went up, and then he slammed me in the back, and my face went wham on the back of the seat. And there was a metal bar and chipped my tooth. I didn't want a chipped tooth. Okay.
But
You like that story, all right?
yeah, because
Well,
you know why? Because it was me who got my butt kicked for laughing.
Okay, well, it was you who got me slapped by mother because you taught me how to burp.
Yes, sir.
So there I am on the balcony of Virginia in 1968. Your dad is teaching me how to burp. And I was amazed.
Can you do one for us?
No. No.
The famous BAPS?
The famous BAPS.
Oh, wow.
And they would just egg me on, and here I am doing it. Well, so mother comes back from Rome. She comes in and just whack, slaps me across the face. And I'm like, what? You know, Barbara called me, which Barbara Bach, the actress.
Barbara Starr.
Yeah, Barbara, whatever. And you woke her up from that. You know, she's pregnant, da-da-da-da-da, and you're out there, da-da-da. I'm like, great. And it was you.
That's what older brothers are for.
Yeah, I tell you. Okay, now you traveled, hold on. You've traveled with Nono.
Oh, yeah.
And your cousins, Brandon and Claudia, because you're all born 2 weeks from each other. So your brother, you always were raised brothers and sisters, right?
Yep.
So you traveled with Nona and your mom, around on cruises and stuff. What's your favorite story? Tell us a story about you guys and your travels as a kid, because you got to travel too.
So, oh man, there's so many. The one, well, since you mentioned my cousins, Nano and everybody, we did a cruise around the Mediterranean. I remember we had just turned 13 years old, all of us. We were teenagers. It was that summer, and that was all of our birthday gifts from Nano and Nana. So they'd taken all the grandkids on a cruise, get to go tour Europe for a couple weeks. And our first stop was in Madrid, Spain. And I remember we were staying in this really cool hotel, and we're in an elevator. Me, Brandon, and Claudia. Mind you, here we are, 3 13-year-old kids, up to no good. Well, at that time, me and Brandon were competing on who could jump higher. We're in the elevator's going, and sometimes when the elevator would start to go down and you jump up, you'd get more air. Well, we'd hit it so it went down, jumped up, and we grabbed onto the top of the light fixture. And the light fixture in the elevator snapped down.
Perfect.
That's what we thought. And then all of a sudden, wads and wads and wads of cash just start falling. I'm talking like something out of a movie. Just fat wads of cash just start falling down off this thing. My heart rate just jumps up thinking about it, going, what the heck just happened? So we immediately stop the elevator. We look up there and we're hitting it to go back up to our floor before we got to the lobby. We get it to go back up. We're stuffing Claudia's purse, and I forget if me or Brandon had a backpack. We had an entire backpack full of cash and and it wasn't just a small purse.
It was before the Euro.
Yes. So.
Or no, it's after the Euro.
After the Euro.
The Euro
After
came
the
in.
Euro.
Yeah, all right.
So it was, they were Spanish pesos. Legitimate Spanish pesos. We ran into the room, and I'll never forget the look on Nano and Nana's face. My mother was there, and instantly we're about to get beaten by Nano because he thought we just went and robbed somewhere. I mean, literally. Then we're telling him, no, we found it. Then he goes into this, oh my gosh, where did you find it? We have to be careful. Like, you found either drug money or cartel, whatever it was. There's all this money that was hidden in the upper part of this light fixture, in the elevator. And Nano takes it to the front. It was real money. It wasn't counterfeit. It wasn't anything. It was it was Spanish pesos. So we go to the bank. We literally go to the bank, me, Brandon, and Nano, to see if we can exchange it. We had missed the cutoff when they had changed from the Spanish peso, when all of Europe went to the euro, and we had missed the cutoff to change the money by like a month, like 40 days
How
or
much
something.
money was there? You had
I believe it was going to transfer to almost 100,000 United States dollars. But I mean, it was...
What's
at
the
that
old
time.
saying? $1 late or $1 short, day late, $1 short.
Day late is
Yeah.
dollar short.
But I mean, it was just the most unbelievable thing because here we are kicking off this trip, and we found some money that
In an elevator.
In an
Saccos
elevator.
and elevators in Italy are amazing.
Oh.
One day we were in a hotel as kids in Rome. Brother Anthony, your uncle, was fascinated with elevators. He would like to jam the buttons so that they would get caught in between doors when other people were going up the elevator. He would press a certain button and get people stuck in an elevator. Well, guess what he did one day? He got stuck himself doing the same goofy stuff
Yeah.
while he was in the elevator. And we were old. There was about 15, 20 people in the lobby. And this people were waiting for this elevator, and they were just getting a little impatient. Next thing you know, this elevator comes down. Anthony presses the button inside the elevator, Daddy tells me. The elevator gets stuck halfway down, but we don't know that until all of a sudden this door, and we see these fingers, and this door is going, and then you see this face, and you see this guy getting red, and these fingertips were like this, and finally the elevator door opened, and we noticed the elevator was maybe 1/3 the way down to its final position to get out. He crawls out underneath, jumps out, and runs away, and everybody's looking at this kid. Who the hell is this? Your uncle.
The Sacco travel escapades. I mean, that's a whole.
Well, how about in Venice when we accidentally locked your uncle, Anthony, on top of a roof of a hotel?
Oh, I remember this.
And I'm looking out a window, and all of a sudden I see this shadow jump across. Angela goes, that was Anthony. Anthony jumped over a canal from one hotel roof onto another hotel roof.
Oh, that was a bad day. That was a bad day.
Saccos, elevators, and hotels as kids. Traveling escapades.
Let's move on. They're probably still looking for us. They'll probably fine. Let's move on from elevators. All right. So
Going up.
we worked with Dad, and for a lot of years. Now your son is working. What's that like? Tell us that feeling, because I don't have that. Giovanna's 21. She's a senior at SC. John Carl's a senior in high school. So I don't have a son or a daughter in the business, but you do. Tell us how that makes you feel.
Feels great. Feels good to someone to pick up the work at a passionate level because you're a family member and want to contribute to a business and grow it. To me, that's a privilege to see someone take on the drive to be successful, but not for themselves, but for the team, for the family, and for the organization. I think that's probably the most, as a team sport, former coach, seeing players on our Sierra team, and to have Philip come onto the team and to get along with people, show leadership, show productivity, discipline, and kindness to the fellow employees as a Sacco, because sometimes the third generation doesn't have a good chance, as we all know, don't they?
Yeah, well, I could tell.
But he's done it with grace, and so it puts a big smile on my face.
What's the one takeaway? I'm going to get to you here in a second on this. And I'm only going to ask for one takeaway because there's
All right.
a gazillion of them.
Sure.
What was the one takeaway, Dad, that our father gave us, your grandfather? One takeaway that it's just part of your makeup, everything you do.
Do good. You'll never have to look over your shoulder.
Fa bene scorda, fa male pensa. Do
Another-
good and forget about it. Do bad and you have to look over your shoulder. Mine was, Dad always drilled in my head, your word of honor. Without your word, you're nothing.
Absolutely.
All right. So now you're going to tell me and tell us what's the one thing your father has instilled in you that you use on a daily basis.
Oh man, there's more than one.
No, you're allowed one because there's always a gazillion. Fathers that influence mothers, but you get one.
I think it's hard work, honesty, and integrity. And I think aside
was
from just
three.
work, there you go. 3 that I bind into one. Just work hard, do right, and things will take care of themselves.
So growing up, I was always mean old Uncle John. Okay?
Maybe you still are.
Still are.
All right, well, that's been another episode of Getting Piled Upon. I was
ready to
mean
pile on?
Yeah, I was mean old Uncle John growing up. A couple times, it's been years, you came to me and you said, I now understand you. What was mean old Uncle John to the perception into what it was now? What you understood about me that gave you the perception I was mean old Uncle John?
Well, you like to get to the point, no goofiness, get it done, don't beat around the point. As kids, we were crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we were out of control kids.
I was not ready for prime time. Trust me on that one. I was not ready to be an uncle.
I remember when he held Giovanna for the first time. He went, "Huh?
Oh yeah. I mean,
This is a baby?"
No, it was the overwhelming sense of change.
I also think that's a big thing that changed you. You know,
Absolutely,
youngest
it
of
changed
5. You know,
Yeah.
When Uncle John became a
there's
father.
still a big age gap between us, but you know, you're the youngest of all my aunts and uncles, so I don't think we wanted to gravitate
Hold
towards
on.
you.
We're going back to travel to Italy stories because you and Amelia were going to Italy.
Oh man, here
Okay.
we go again.
And he goes, Uncle John, me and Amelia are going to go to Italy. I go, great. This is a year after you're married, or I think a year, two years.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, how romantic. Careful. You know, that's how, babies get made. You're going to be in romantic Italy, little vino. I'm making, and you're just like, Uncle John, it's not going to happen. Uncle John's not going to happen.
It did.
Yeah, sure enough, that's where little Alana was manufactured.
And then I get the phone call from you. You jinxed me. Not a jinx, huh?
Nope,
blessing.
best blessing.
Yeah, I know. That's another travel to Italy. I mean, there's just so many stories about our travels. And I think that's interesting how, your travel, you're a salesperson, you're the RSM for Canada, regional sales, and for the Western U.S., and other than Oregon and Washington, and you're on the road a lot. I'm on the road a lot. We're here, but doesn't feel like on the road. This is pretty amazing spot, Phil. Congratulations for you to be up here. This is, people, again, I want to go back to people always asking me about how you're doing. And I always tell them, and, I told them, you're smart, but I always tell them, I go, they always ask me how it works. I go, man, my brother and I got a partnership. You guys don't understand, don't ask about it. But I always tell him, I go, he's happy here. This is peace for you, and I'm setting this up because from 2015, 14 to time you bought up here, our industry was going through the worst times, and we also had some bad things happen to us internally.
Life-changing moments in your business career. It goes back to Dad's teaching. Are we bleeding, son? Is there a leak in the boat?
Yeah, that's when business says when you're bleeding means we're losing money.
So, are you humble enough to address it, or are you going to stick your head in the sand and get what kicked? We had, no matter through our career, it's been a great career. But during those years, John, it was tough. And those were the years where it challenged me. Where am I going? Do you want to stay in this game and just be stuck in a place that it's productive, you're making a living, you're contributing, but I'm not getting any nourishment. And what is that nourishment? Peace.
Well, we
being
had
in a place where I want to hunt and fish. Every fall, I was either in sports, football coach, doing things that I wanted to be hunting and fishing, because you have to take care of family and kids like this over here first as a responsibility. And so fall was a time of commitment in sports, teaching kids, being part of the high school, being part of developmental football. I wanted fishing and hunting and riding horses in the mountains in the fall. And now I have it. But without Sierra, without the great you and the other great people we've had on board that are no longer living and are still living with us, I give my credit to them.
So did you tell your dad to buy this ranch here because it was in your territory where you're regional sales manager, so you could come up here and work out of here? I mean, come on, pretty convenient.
No, it just kind of happened that way.
No, fell in my lap.
Yeah, I remember.
I came to your office and you says, no, Philip, this is you. I'm not that.
No, this is. I mean, but it is. It's a in life. You're at a different point. You had a grown son out of the house in
Correct.
business.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I got
different
kids,
dynamics altogether.
I got kids in school, but you know what? That your happiness is I could always tell every time you come back to Bakersfield, it's like a meter. 1 day, 2 days. By day 3, it goes, when you going back? Because not because I want you, because I could see the happy meter dropping on you, just because it's the intensity of it all. And here, you get to do what you do best, and that's trade the metals for Sierra, and you oversee it. But it's that day-to-day thing that really is a downer for you.
Yeah, the day-to-day thing after 40 some odd years of, and I don't want to use this, but I use it. It's maybe not the right term, but babysitting adults. Tired of it. That means managing ongoing processes between links of personnel in our business. I want the team to take on their own responsibility, which they've done. They are a very interlocked chain. One link gets weak, it affects the whole chain. And this team that we have built at Sierra won't allow that now. And it's a culture to keep the chain strong. And for me to be like Nono, our late father, would say, I just want to be the conductor. I just want to conduct the orchestra.
I know when you're out of tune.
Absolutely.
That's what he would say to you. Yeah.
That's the role I've embraced. I enjoy it, but to see the success, like our young salespeople, Jessica coming up with a sale, to see the diversity in our sales team, the diversity in our purchasing team and management teams, from the equipment side, from Georgia to Bakersfield to the logistic team in Sierra Recycling. These are wonderful people that are getting it done. And you know what? It is wonderful to stand back and watch the team play between the lines and score touchdowns.
So
as a coach, I want to be the coach.
Yeah, I love coaching too. Yeah, coaching Giancarlo was there was nothing like coaching.
Coaching is the ultimate.
I'd always say I'd quit my day job if I could coach, but it sure doesn't pay like my day job.
What you said there, and my taking it away from Sierra actually took time away from Sierra. Did it help Sierra? No. It helped the kids and the things I did for the school. But when I look back at it, I left a lot of my talent off the field for Sierra, and that I won't do again.
That's the rear view mirror, that it's the proverbial 2020 hindsight's 2020.
But in your late 50s, you learn that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's part of life, and I've embraced it and made that change. That's why I retired from coaching, to give it back to Sierra in my last years.
All right, we're gonna come to conclusion here, but I always like to, I think about a lot of funny things. My mind, the way I am, I like to think of a lot of funny things. What's the funniest story at Sierra that you got to come up?
I know what it is. There's no question. One day, Dad, Morris Rosenberg, Mario DiMoffetto, Mike and Darian invited me to lunch at the Bakersfield Country Club. It was in the middle of the summer, potato season. I didn't have the time to go from the factory to go have lunch, but they demanded me to do so. It was part of the recognition of doing a good job. And of course, being with Dad, Rosie, Mario, who was my godfather, it was a great lunch, and we were all talking until Dad took a phone call at the bar. You remember the old bar?
Yeah, sure, the Orange Bar. Yeah,
Ben, we have a phone call, and Dad gets on there, and Dad comes right back to the table, irritated, red. You can tell my father was irritated. He tells Rosie, we got to go. There's an issue down at Sierra. Fire department's been we thought it was fire, but it wasn't a fire. As we got down on Mount Vernon, and we started going over the overpass, we noticed a huge cloud of dust. I mean, not a small cloud. I mean, a very large cloud plume coming up into the sky, and we were just going, wow, what's going on over there? As we started looking, it was right over Sierra and Calcott. So we came down Brundage. We were going westbound on Brundage, and then we made a turn into the yard, and we noticed it was coming from Sierra. Well, we drove in the back, and there was my brother Anthony in a 1955 Oldsmobile doing figure eights around the scrap pile and had built a dirt track that actually had a mild bank to it. And he was side going, and this cloud, and everybody, there was a crowd around. I never laughed harder in my life. And to hear my godfather go, that doggone kid, I can't trust that doggone kid because every time we leave, the doggone kid messes up here, Ben. So hearing my dad, Mario, two Italians from the old world, start screaming at each other, and then this calm Jewish guy would say, why don't we just get him out of the car and kick his butt? Well, they drove right up to him, and old St. Anthony does a side Brody stops as we were coming here and stops between me and the bed. His car going sideways stop. Mario jumps out of the car. Dad jumps out of the car. I stay in the back seat of the car. Rosie's sitting in the front seat. It's going to be okay, Phil. Well, my brother Anthony ran from both of them. They couldn't catch him. Until that night at the dinner table, Anthony had to address that.
I can only imagine when you cross Nano, the old drill sergeant, World War II.
I mean, but you guys, just to see all the employees gathered around, it was like a demolition derby in a scrapyard with my brother creating the biggest dust cloud I've ever seen.
You know, we used to take in cars. We used to be an auto dismantler, and he would get, if he could get one running, man, that was
he was on.
He knew how to. It's your funniest story.
Oh, man. I was probably 10, 11 years old. You guys had just bought the new excavators in the back. It's old scrapyard stories. And you had Qatar, and I believe it was Sindhu that were running it. And I remember I was in the front, and you just kept hearing this loud, like this booming sound that would shook the ground in the front parking lot. And then you look back, and here you see these two excavators with grapples fighting, just hitting booms, grapples grabbing on each other. Here's these two guys fighting in two almost brand new excavators.
Perfect.
And I'll never forget Nano just beelining it back. Dad, you coming out of the office, going with you guys, and just, I mean, you almost couldn't help but laugh, but then at the same time, just all hell broke loose. Poor guys, they were, well, rightfully so, they were fired on the spot, but oh my gosh, talk about being a little kid laughing at a scrapyard story. Who would have thought two grapples?
Two dueling booms and grapples.
Just going at it.
Well, there's so many, but the one that's coming to my head, because you brought up Mario, and Mario had a temper, is he'd get so upset, he'd open doors and slam them. And he'd whatever. And one time, I went to go up, and he looked at me all calm. He went, "You can't come in yet." And he's just slamming the door right in front of me, and I'm just, oh man, today those actions you just those
we couldn't do those things in the workplace.
So much things are you can't tolerate, but I think that's it's just part of what we are. Well, look, guys, we could go on for hours talking about, but we've had an amazing 24 hours here. Only 24 hours. We fished. We had an outdoor barbecue dinner last night on an open flame, which I haven't had. You've been on horses, and just what a great.
You get to learn how to shoot a bow here shortly.
I'm going to do that, and I'm really excited about that. I have not done that either. So
You're gonna
so many firsts. Well, listen, Philip, my brother, I love you.
Love you too, Johnny. Thank you. God bless you. You too, son.
Likewise.
Sorry for my emotion, but our families took some hits this past year. And a friend over here took a hit, lost a friend, lost a father. But life is good. And that comes from a really good friend of ours who quoted, says, "You Saccos, you're our partner in profit. Dennis Rivet. And that has pretty much been my compliment to why Sierra has a relationship we do in the marketplace we do. Because we want to partner with people in success.
It's the personal touch. Phil? Little Phil?
Yeah.
Little Phil.
Well, it's
Thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling we'll see you on Pile of Scrap some other time coming up from past. But you know what? Great time. And look, everyone, it's just an honor. It's kind of a trip. Kind of Darren would call it punk rock for me to interview my brother in a Pile of Scrap with my nephew. Great stuff, guys.
I'm honored. It's been fun.
I want to end with this. It's growing up, third generation coming into the family business. Any family business has its ups and downs, but there's not a greater team, greater teachers than you, Dad, you, Uncle John, my late grandpa, and it's an honor to be on such a great team where, we throw around team a lot. I mean, Sierra truly is and family, aside from blood family. I mean, Sierra's got multiple people where they've got their sons working or their nephews working at Sierra, and it is just surreal to be a part of not only a family business, but a business that is truly a giant family team. And that's what has made me want to thrive and grow this company and be a part of this amazing adventure that we're all on.
Wow. A lot of more years to come, a lot of more fun things. Maybe we'll meet back up in 5 years and we'll have different funny stories and different great things to talk about. And,
many more chapters to write in the book.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, somebody's got to write a book in this family. I'll tell you that much. This has been another episode of Pile of Scrap.
This has been a Sierra International Machinery original audio series. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast and make sure to subscribe.